Welcome, everyone. I'm delighted to be here today, especially to be involved with this project. I'm June Sarpong, and I'm thrilled to be your host. And helping me moderate the session, we have our two fabulous ASL interpreters, Amber and Jessica, who will be joining us throughout the broadcast. So you'll see them throughout everything that we are doing today. As we get started, we invite you to think about where you are, the history that brought you to the land where you are placed right now, and also where your place is within that history. We are curators and guardians of the lands we live in. We invite you to take a few moments to think of those who came before us. For some of us, that will be clearer in terms of indigenous land and people. For others, it's about a mix of people and ancestors that have been the original stewards of the various lands and waters that we love so much. So please join us in celebrating the land and our relationship with it, and of course, our relationship with each other. For many years, I've been involved in various projects that really have the central theme of how we bring people together and how to connect. I've been lucky enough to be a television presenter for over 20 years. I'll pretend I started when I was 2. And my television work has brought me into contact with some of the most extraordinary human beings. And I think the thing that I've been fortunate enough to witness is, one, how much we have in common, but two, how our differences should also be celebrated and what we can learn from each other's differences. Many years ago, I was living in New York and I co-founded the Women Inspiration Enterprise, which was all about bringing together this generation's female leaders to pay it forward to the next, but also to provide a platform for women without a voice. More recently, I authored the book Diversify, which is really about the social, moral, and economic benefits of diversity and how we create something that really allows everybody to contribute to the best of their ability when we are inclusive, and why, in the end, inclusion actually is better for everyone, even those who perhaps have to now give up some of what they've had in the past. I've been privileged to work with people from many different social and ethnic backgrounds, and I'm fascinated to hear what everyone has to say today and how skills can be shared and donated to help each other, and see what everybody at the end of the discussion has learned. And lastly, what we can all do to ensure that we move things forward. Today is an event that brings us together and allows us to work in terms of how we create a movement that's sustainable at a grassroots level. We know for anything to last, it has to start from the bottom up, not the top down. To do this, we need to bring as many people along the journey as possible. At the end of the session, our hope is that for people who are on this call today and who are tuning in to this webinar, that they have a clearer view on how to use their own skills for good, and to do things differently at whatever level you are in terms of joining us today. We'll speak about skill-based volunteering and what you can do for others as well. We need a concrete action plan in terms of creating a movement where we're willing to change. Sharing our skills is something everyone can do, no matter what your background is. We have viewers from all over the world. I'm so excited. So please let us know where you are in the chat. It's on the right-hand side of the screen. Just let us know where you're dialing in from, and we'll see if we can mention some of them as we go through today's session. So let's dive right in. Before we begin, we have a poll question. And in fact, we're going to have a few poll questions throughout today. So the first one is, do you volunteer? A, never. B, sometimes. And C, often stroke regularly. Fill in the poll. Let us know what your answer is to that question. And I will be back to answer that shortly after I have spoken with our first guest. We have some fantastic speakers today that will be joining us. I want to give you a quick intro in terms of who they all are before I'll be inviting them each onto the screen over the next hour or so. The first guest I'll be speaking to is Whitney Connor Clapper, who's a Community Impact and Partnerships Director at Patagonia. And I'm glad to say I'm on brand today wearing my Patagonia. Whitney is a storyteller and loves spending time on Indigenous lands and waters. One of the facets of her job is working to strengthen relationships at the intersection of sport, environmental and social justice. We'll also be joined by Leo Klein, an avid skier, climber and mountaineer, and he volunteers for Protect Our Winters next to his profession as an architect. Lindsay Halvorsen campaigns and is a coordinator at POW, Protect Our Winters, and loves to snowboard and resides in Colorado. She'll be joining us after as well. And Natalie Penner, digital associate at Power Shift Network in New York. She's a freelancer, writer, and also a roller skater. Good for you, Natalie. And last but by no means least, I'll be also speaking to Alexandra Bowman, who's a designer, artist, educator, and muralist who's based in California. We'll also allow you to submit your questions. We have a Q&A towards the end. So any questions that you have, please put them in the chat. We'll try and get through as many as possible. And of course, let us know who your question is to. We're recording the whole session, including the Q&A, and we'll be uploading to YouTube a little later. So let's see what the answer is to our poll question. Actually, I'm going to do that after I've spoken to Whitney. So if you can let me know in the tech room how we're doing on our poll question, I'll pick that up once I've spoken to Whitney. So, as I said, our first speaker is Whitney Connor Clapper. Whitney leads community engagement and impact at Patagonia. I've told you all the great things that she is into. Before I get talking to Whitney, we have a little video that will tell you a little bit more about her and allow you to get to know her that much better.
It's easier to sit maybe behind the sidelines and not get involved and to be quiet, but I've also tried that because I have been told to do that. I am Whitney Connor Clapper. Thinking about whose land you might be on, or thinking about the privilege that comes from being able to go to these pristine, remote locations, that was just not a part of the conversation. A lot of that has shifted, and there's much more of an awareness and awakening that's coming to the industry as a whole. I've been running on hope because I do still believe that if we put our mind to it, we can change and evolve.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Whitney, how are you? You there?
I'm here. Yes, June. Nice to see you, and nice to share a screen with you, Jess, as well.
Likewise, likewise. So that really gave us a view of your wider work. And I can see why you're so passionate about the environment, land, and of course, water protection. Can you tell me what drives you to be so passionate about it? And is it something you've always had or something you developed later in life?
You know, it's something I've always had. I grew up in the Midwest, in a community that was predominantly rolling hills and cornfields, and I found myself out on the lands in order to find my sanity in a lot of different cases. I had a mom who was very active and a dad who was equally active in very different ways, and that kind of came as part of my childhood. So it's been a passion of mine for all along.
Brilliant. I love that. How fantastic. And so can you talk us through and tell us a little bit more about why Patagonia is invested in terms of really ensuring that philanthropy is at the core of what they do in supporting environmental causes, and how did their NGO's network develop?
Sure. Yes. It's been about a 40+ year journey for Patagonia. It's been at our core primarily since the beginning of the company. And it started really back in the day over 40 years ago when our founder and owner, Yvon Chouinard, he and his buddies really started the company at our headquarters, which is still there in Ventura, California. And a big part of the reason that location was chosen was because of this incredible surf break that is a couple blocks away from the campus that many of us are a part of at headquarters. And the reason this wave and this surf spot is so ideal is because the Ventura River, which flows down from the mountains into the ocean, creates this incredible wave. Wow. And a big reason our activism began is because the city of Ventura a while ago was threatening to shut down the river. They were claiming it was dead. They were going to channelize it and kind of pave it over. And Yvon, our founder, and his surf buddies realized that if the river went away, this magical wave would no longer be there. Yeah. And so they got involved by going to city council meetings. They got involved by befriending a local biologist who was a student up at UCSB in Santa Barbara, who actually proved to the city that the river was not actually dead. It was very much alive. And they showed pictures of the animals that lived in the river and the incredible species of fish and bird and all sorts of wildlife that inhabited this river. And they convinced the city to keep the river open, which meant the wave could be kept open as well. And that is really the origin story of what began our activism as a company. And fast forward 40 years later, realizing that there was this need, we had really that biologist became our first grantee, if you will. As a one-person show, he was Friends of Ventura River. And as a thank you to him for helping convince the city of Ventura that the river was alive, Patagonia gave him a desk and a mailbox. Wow. And that was how it all began. And from there, of course, we have an incredible granting program that has happened and been built globally over the past 40 years. We have a lot of very close relationships with thousands of very small organizations. Something that you said in your intro was kind of going ground up, building that ground up. And we very much believe in supporting small, local, grassroots organizations and really starting at that kind of ground up level and growing that groundswell into movement and change. And so thousands of grantees later and many dollars later, we built ActionWorks as a result of really connecting with these grantees and asking them what they needed. Yeah. And ActionWorks is a direct result of asking our organizations what they needed. And in addition to funding, they needed skilled volunteering, which we'll talk about a little bit more. Yeah. They need people to attend their events. They needed access to our Patagonia social media channels and audience. So all of that came together to become what Patagonia ActionWorks is today.
It's so true. And it's not always just about money. It's also about networks and, as you say, volunteering and actually sort of people power too. Well, we have a little bit more to delve into because we actually have a video on Patagonia ActionWorks to go deeper into how it came to be. Let's take a look.
If you've been paying attention, you'll know that things aren't going very well for the planet. It's pretty easy to get depressed about it. I've always known that the cure for depression is action. Patagonia's reason for existence is to force government and corporations to take action in solving our environmental problems. Over the last 35 years, we've given nearly $90 million to grassroots activists, and we've trained hundreds, maybe thousands, of young activists to be more effective in their campaigns. So we've had lots of, you might call them victories, but recently things have gotten a lot worse. And we've asked ourselves, what more can we do?
If we could connect our community, our friends, our customers, directly with local groups near where they live, working on issues that they're passionate about, suddenly these organizations would have the capacity to achieve even more. Everybody has a role to play in a movement. There's something for everyone.
The platform that Patagonia is creating really presents the opportunity for doing it differently.
When we're needing help or we're needing voices, ActionWorks will really help us get that word out and amplify what the community is asking for and encourage others to participate with us.
So that's what Patagonia ActionWorks is. It's kind of a dating site.
Patagonia ActionWorks is a digital tool that facilitates human connection. Visit the site to search for issues that you're passionate about, and we'll connect you with the people doing the critical work of grassroots environmental action.
There needs to be a response that matches the size of the crisis.
I love that. The only cure for depression is action. I mean, wow, what a powerful statement. And I'd love to hear more from you in terms of what Patagonia is doing to really help uplift people in terms of engaging, to really move the dial forward and at an accelerated pace when it comes to climate and the messaging that we need to make sure that we get on track where the planet is concerned, because I think sometimes this stuff can seem overwhelming and people feel deflated and feel that actually the problem is too big for the individual. So can you talk more about skills-based volunteering and some of the work that you're doing to really empower people for them to believe that they themselves can be the change?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's a challenging space to be these days. I find myself often being overwhelmed, but the thing that continues to ground and offer support is Patagonia ActionWorks. And I say that because it's so easy to actually use and access. And the reality is, no matter where you are, no matter what your issue is that you're most passionate about, no matter what you may have to give, there are absolutely meaningful ways for you to take action. And there are thousands of grantees that need your support and help. And so for some people, that could look like different things. It could look like donating, which is, of course, fantastic for these small organizations that need as much financial support as possible. It could look like lending your skills, which is something that this talk is whole focused on, which we'll get into much more. But it can also look like just being able to attend events or sharing on social. And those might feel like small ways to engage, but they're actually massive as they ripple out and more people become involved. So something that we're really proud of is the fact that there are such a variety of NGOs on this Patagonia ActionWorks platform, and that they are these small groups that are really making tangible progress and incredible impact in their local communities. And so volunteering skills is one way that it is a pretty low barrier to entry as far as being able to access via computer. It's not requiring people to go out during COVID. It's not requiring people to go to a beach cleanup and be physically active. It's really kind of meeting people where they are and inviting them in to make measurable impact and change.
Brilliant. Now, obviously, Patagonia has been working to protect the land and really driving forward environmental causes for over 4 decades, as you said. And obviously, when you first started as a business, you would have been one of the few, if not one of the only ones, really making this a core tenet of your reason for existing. Does it still feel that way? Does it still feel like, as a business, like you guys are the only ones?
I wouldn't say we're the only ones. I think there are some other organizations out there. I think we have been somewhat early adopters to granting since we've been doing it for so long. However, I have to say that there's an incredible partner alongside us with the Patagonia ActionWorks platform, and that is Catch a Fire. Catch a Fire is the organization that allows us to be doing the skilled-based volunteering program, and they have been alongside us in this entire journey with Patagonia Action Works. So they are one I'd specifically like to call out, but there are other organizations that are building out their platforms and trying to do as much good. But we sure have an incredible history of engagement and will continue into the future.
I love that. Fantastic. And so if we move on, tell us how people can get involved, where they need to go, and all of that good stuff.
There are a lot of ways to get involved. The website that we have is patagonia.com/volunteer, which I believe we'll be putting in the chat. You can also text the word skills in the US only if you're US, skills to 71333. And those are two pretty easy ways to get involved. And then our friends on the back end will be adding many more links for ways to engage as we move forward.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Well, Whitney, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Congratulations on all the great work that you're doing. And it's just wonderful to hear your passion for the planet and for this wonderful mother of ours that we all are fortunate enough to call home. So thank you.
Yes, thank you, June. And I look forward to reading your book, which sounds incredible.
Great. Well, I'll have to send you one.
Okay, thank you.
Take care. Before I move on to the next guest, I am going to give you the results of the first poll. So the question was, how often do you volunteer? And the answers are A, 20% for never. Well, I'm glad it's not too high, but you know, at the 20% of you, I think we need to change that. B, sometimes we had 67%, and C, for often and regularly, it's 11%. So come on, everybody. I think the B's, we need to see you moving into the C territory, and the A's. If you're tuning into this session, and we know you've got volunteering in your heart, so we expect you to be in the B section when we come back next year. We're going to have a number of polls throughout today, so please engage with them. All you need to do is click on the vote button, which is in the right-hand corner of your screen, just below the chat box. So when I come up with the next poll, please vote. All you need to do is click on the vote button, right hand corner of the screen, just below the chat box. Okay, so we now are moving into one of the key pillars in terms of the focus and the purpose of everything that we're discussing today. And that is volunteers. Obviously, Whitney touched on that just a moment ago, but we're going to delve even deeper. And I'm delighted that one of our grassroots volunteers is here. We have Leo Klein. Leo is an architect based in Zurich, Switzerland. As I said before, he's a skier. He likes climbing and mountaineering. And he also volunteers for Protect Our Winters next to his day job. So let's take a look at what Leo does. And then I'll invite him on the screen after the video.
I'm Leo. I'm an architect based in Zurich. And besides my day job, I volunteer for different NGOs, mostly for Protect Our Winter Switzerland. As a skilled volunteer, I think really both sides profit. The NGOs profit from your work, but you also profit a lot from the feedback of people in that scene, having space for experimentation and develop your own professional skills. Skiing is the easiest way to have fun. I clip in and I start going down and forget about all your troubles. Like, the big realization was not that climate change might happen, but how fast this is happening, and that this is happening right now, right here, and that we can really see and feel that today. The actual mission statement of POW is we're turning passionate outdoor enthusiasts into climate advocates. We're so emotionally connected to the mountains, to being outdoors. We're kind of on the forefront of feeling that change. This can really motivate you to care for those places, become active, and try to find climate change.
The platform Patagonia ActionWorks is amazing because it helps connecting organizations like ours with people that have skills. Leo's really great at organizing, plus he's an amazing graphic designer.
I profited at a young age a lot from the volunteer work of other people, so that concept seems pretty normal to me. Really don't be scared, it's not taking away your powder days. This is not like work, this is more like helping a friend. Through volunteering, you're not just using this place, but you can also give back. And this gives you the same pride of having done something for your turn. Not only skinned up, but preserved this possibility to have that much fun.
Fantastic! Hello, Leo. How are you?
Hi. Really good.
Good.
It's already evening here in Zurich, but
yes, the same here in London. So, so we're both on the European time zones. So I loved what you had to say in terms of feel good by doing good. So how has that motivated all that you do in terms of being aware of the changes that are happening around you? And tell me more about why you enjoy the process of volunteering so much.
Yeah, as you can see in the film as well, like I like going into the mountains, skiing or climbing. And I think if you go to the mountains, you really see first like climate change happening. It's maybe not like it's a bit of a luxury problem that we have like less powder days or something like that, but still I think you notice firsthand really this experience outside, and somehow this is where your passion or your fun is. Like I go out almost every weekend and really enjoy that. So yeah, that's kind of where I noticed, okay, something's happening here that's not cool. Should become active about that.
I love.
Made perfect sense to match up with Protect Our Winter Switzerland, because that's basically their mission to take those passionate outdoor people and try to get them active.
Brilliant. And so, what made you think of graphic design? Because you're an architect by trade, similar but still very different.
Yes, true. I mean, I might expand. Like I worked a lot in architecture competitions. This is really big in Switzerland. And one point about architecture competitions is also that you don't only need like great ideas, but you also have to communicate that. And that felt like a part that I can kind of translate into volunteering or into action, because it's super important also for those NGOs to reach out to communicate those ideas. And on the other hand, it's different. Like you're not stuck in the building industry where you have like all those people like freaking out about big amounts of money and projects take like 10 years or something, and you're like having one office and the next, and you have to, I don't know, write all these protocols, fill out all those Excel files. So it's much more the feeling of getting something done, wrapping something up. Yeah, and so it was super cool to take like those basic skills that I have and add some new skills, learn more, and branch out into a different field. So that's part of the motivation, I'd say.
Amazing. And I can imagine you must have met some incredible people from doing all of this volunteering work.
Yeah, totally. Like I'm mostly volunteering with Protect Our Winters in Switzerland. Nicholas, our head and founder, who you also saw briefly in the video clip, like he's so great. it's super nice to hang out with those guys. So it does not feel like work anymore. It's more like really, okay, yeah, you start to hang out with those people, and then it's really much more fun, which helps the motivation. And then also some people at Protect Our Winters in Switzerland, they only work part-time. And by now I only work part-time too. So we go climbing on the weekends, on the weekdays, or enjoy like Antrag powder when there's no crowds. So that's pretty much perfect.
Amazing. And so what would you say to anybody who's considering volunteering? Obviously, as you saw in our poll, 11% or 20% of people saying never. What would you say to the 20% to get them to actually volunteer?
I don't know. Like, we would have to find out what is basically breaking them or hindering them to volunteer. But I reckon for many people it's like time issues or something like that. And I totally understand, because I already did this when I was working like full time, like, or more than full time in the office. And I think it's still like it's a change, you know. You get home, it's not like, oh, there's more work. So it's a different activity. You get fresh energy, and sometimes I don't know, if you get stuck in the office all day and you got nothing done, then it's super cool to finish your day off with something proactive for the good cause.
Yeah, and that's you giving back.
Yeah.
How easy is the process? And as you said, time being a constraint, how do you put boundaries around your volunteering work so it doesn't overtake your life and that you're still able to have a sort of work-life balance?
Like, for me, what's super important, I think, is that that you get enough time. Like, if you, normally you get more time than you really need. It's not like you get 1 week and you have to work on this full time. So if people reach out like enough in advance, and then I can move it to some afternoon, some day where I feel inspired, or maybe where it's raining outside or climbing conditions are bad, so I don't miss out on all my free time and all my recovery. And that's super cool. So yeah, I think basically the flexibility is super important.
Yeah.
And if you have going like a longer connection, like with Protect Our Winters Switzerland, in my case, I think I'm doing this for 3-4 years now.
Wow.
You also get more efficient, and you already know, okay, what they want, and you can rely on each other more. So that's super helpful as well.
Brilliant. Well, Leo, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Congratulations again on the great work that you're doing to give back, and happy skiing and mountain climbing.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care. So at this point, I'd like to bring in Lindsay, and Lindsay is a campaigns coordinator at Protect Our Winters, of course, the organization that Leo volunteers for. So Lindsay, are you there?
I'm here.
Hey, how are you?
Hello.
So is Leo typical of the kind of volunteers that you have at Protect Our Winters?
Yeah, it's funny. There's actually, was thinking about this a little, and there's really no such thing as a typical volunteer, because everyone is so unique and different and brings different skills and ideas and their background to volunteering, that every time you meet a new volunteer, it's kind of like a fresh start and like a new person, new perspective.
Yeah.
So we're incredibly lucky to have all of these passionate people come to, Protect Our Winters specifically, but organizations in general, with all of their skills and talent, and want to get involved.
I love it. So tell us a bit more about your organization, as well as, of course, how people can get involved, and when they do, how you utilize them.
Yeah, Protect Our Winters, I think the video Leo had said it best. We engage passionate outdoor people to fight against climate change. So we really engage all of the skiers, snowboarders, but also runners, bikers, climbers, hikers, anyone who likes to get outside and, protect the places they love to play, in not only, engaging their community, helping shift culture around climate, but also helping on federal, state policy to support climate action. And usually volunteers will engage in a lot of different ways. Sometimes it's just, talking to people in their community about, hey, have you noticed our snow levels have been lower than usual? Our waters are warmer. Here's what you can do to support. To volunteers like Leo and a lot of other kind of our skill-based volunteers who are getting in there, helping us with spreadsheets or graphic design or making videos for us. So there's kind of a whole spectrum of opportunities for people all over the, the country and the world to get involved.
Amazing. So what happens if somebody offers something that's a bit left field? How do you empower them to have the confidence to perhaps try something different as well?
It's actually my favorite conversation to have because it's those creative ideas that, I'm sitting here typing away, working all day, and I don't spend the time outside thinking of all of these new exciting opportunities of getting people involved. So this is a great way for people to come to us with new ideas, new perspectives. And so sitting down one-on-one with someone is like a great way to be like, all right, you have this fundraiser idea and you want to have people run up a mountain and fundraise money for POW. I don't know if I have the capacity to put that on, but you totally do. And you have the marketing skills. Let's do it. Let's start it right now. And that's, we couldn't do this work without people coming to us with those creative ideas and perspectives.
Brilliant. So what is the texture of skilled-based volunteering and how is it changing in terms of what you're doing as an organization?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of different ways you can sort of touch different organizations. And for POW specifically, we have a lot of opportunities to just go out and talk to community members. But what we really need is those skills that people have to come to us. We can't always hire, 1,000 people to help us run our organization. So helping someone, we had a volunteer out in Virginia who's been a POW supporter for like 10 years. And he's kind of in COVID, his job ramped down a little bit. And he was like, I have time, happy to help. I have a technical background. I was like, perfect. You know what I really need help with? We're moving all of our images to a new CRM and we need someone to go in on the back end and code it. Wow. So he spent, hundreds of hours helping us code where all of our images live for, posting on social, sending an email. So it's like, we literally could not have done that without him.
No, yes. That's amazing. And how do people find out about you? Where do you find the volunteers? Is it a lot of word of mouth?
It's a lot of different ways. People live in different places. And I think for volunteers, we always approach it at, meet people where they are. So we'll post on social opportunities. We'll send email opportunities. We obviously post on Patagonia's Catch a Fire if we have a need for a volunteer-specific skill project. And then a lot of times people come to us with those ideas of, hey, I'm really good at tracking policy. Can I help you in DC? And we're like, please help us. So we have them, set up on an email campaign.
I love it. So if it's, whether it's local, as in Leo's case, or feeding into something more global, what volunteers are they, what are they also getting out of the network in terms of the global network that you have? And can they benefit professionally? Can they also get, other than just the sort of personal fulfillment from volunteering, does it also help propel their careers too? Like, do employers look on it favorably?
Absolutely. I've had, 2 instances in the last year, and I think, COVID has kind of made work a little funky sometimes. And so one of my volunteers, actually here in Colorado, was laid off from her job, was like, hey, I have some time, happy to help. She helped me a lot get our community organized, help pass some policy in Colorado, and was able to put that on her resume. And I was able to be her reference for a new job, and it's like, you find incredible opportunities. We actually have a volunteer out in Reno who works for the Patagonia warehouse out there and wants to get into policy. And so she's been helping us track policy in Nevada So how can she take the skills that she's learning with POW and actually turn that into a career, which is, you know, that's not an opportunity that she would have anywhere else. It's so hard to get into the industry professionally. So volunteering is a great way to do it. And for them, it's not only the resume building, but also the it is really fulfilling, and you meet a lot of really cool people in the process. So, you know, your heart's full, your network builds, and, you know, your resume gets a little bit longer.
Amazing. So when people come to you, and if, let's say, someone comes to you with like a massive, outlandish idea, how do you filter whether or not they can actually deliver it, and if they have the skills to do what they say they're going to do, and the support too?
Yeah, it's definitely a tricky one. Sometimes I have said no to projects that I'm just like, this is such a good idea. I love your passion. What are ways that we can maybe tweak this a little bit or turn this into something that's a little bit more manageable for you? Or if they're really excited and I've worked with them before, you know, I work with them one-on-one to actually help them pull it off. And in the end, like, that's a skill that they have then built. So they're giving us skills and we're giving them skills. So it's really a good partnership and helping do that. But I do often encourage volunteers to they come to us with an idea, to be a little bit flexible and to help us, meet us in the middle.
And so what else do you want people to know? What's the takeaway you want anybody watching you right now to leave with?
Yeah, I saw this, or I was listening to this really good podcast the other day with Dr. Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson. It's called How to Save the Planet. And she has this really incredible way of describing how to get involved. And you draw a Venn diagram. You put in what you're good at, what work needs to be done, and what brings you joy. And in the middle of that is where you find actually what you want to do and how you want to help. So I think taking that middle part and helping apply it to whatever skills you have and then bring that to an organization is kind of the best way to start getting involved in skills-based volunteering.
Fantastic. Lindsay, what a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me today. And yeah, keep up the good work. We so need it and so appreciate it.
Thank you.
Brilliant. So before I bring in our next speaker, Natalie Penna, I have another poll for you all. So the poll should be coming up on your screens right now. And the question is, what is your biggest hurdle to volunteering? Is it A, time, B, money, C, legislation, D, insurance, and E, confidence? Again, remember, if you want to vote, if you want to participate, all you need to do is click on the vote button, which is on the right-hand corner of your screen, just below the chat box, and submit your answer there. And I'll let you know what the percentages are a little later. So now, one of the things people don't realize is that you can get so many other things, but confidence is hard to get. It takes work to develop it. Trust me, I know. I'm still working on it now. And if you get experiences that help you gain confidence, that can be an incredible start. So next, I'd like to talk to Natalie Penna. Natalie has used skills-based volunteering to develop herself further. And the result is that she's been able to change her career path. And she's now a digital associate at PowerShift Network in New York. Before I bring Natalie onto the screen, we have a short video to tell us more about her journey.
My name is Natalie Penna. I'm from Washington Heights in New York City, aka Little Dominican Republic. I was studying journalism and French, and I was kind of learning what changes I wanted to see in the world and how I wanted to contribute to that change. The only thing that I really thought of was, I want to write, I want to do something kind of creative. My first step into environmentalism was kind of taking that leap of faith My plan was to volunteer physically, but with skilled volunteering, I was able to tap into more of my mental abilities and my communication skills and kind of grow in other ways. Skilled volunteering has really helped with my confidence and helped me get to network with people that I otherwise wouldn't.
I don't know how that could or should look, and I'm curious to know if you have any thoughts or ideas about like what the next steps look like.
Obviously, we want to do more trainings. Being able to do skilled volunteering helped me be my own leader and make suggestions to help this nonprofit grow. All right, cool. See you tomorrow. Thanks, Danny. I know I want to continue working with young people in the climate justice space because people make a movement, especially young people. It's a privilege to be able to work with people like that.
Brilliant. Natalie, hello.
Hi, June. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? How's New York? I miss New York City.
It's good. Well, you know, there's still like high energy even with COVID happening. It still feels like New York in a safer way. But yeah, it's been good here.
It's been good. I always say I have a friend who works for the city in New York, and I always say to her, it's the second best city in the world, obviously after London. So we've learned a little bit about you through your video. Your reason for volunteering really comes out strong in what we've just seen. And the confidence and the network that volunteering has given you is just excellent. So would love to hear more about the confidence journey, because I think this is such a big one, and particularly for women. So please tell me more.
Yeah, especially for women and especially for women of color, like imposter syndrome is an everyday battle that I still go through today. But I'm a person that I prefer being on the sidelines and supporting people instead of kind of being the leader or the face of something. Mm-hmm. But when I started the digital volunteering, it made me feel more comfortable to kind of fake it till I make it, because I was able to kind of hide behind a computer screen and just be able to think through a project I was doing with a nonprofit before I like hop on a phone call with them or hop on a Zoom call. And, you know, something that I keep reminding myself is that creativity and like quickly sharing ideas off the top of your head is a skill that you need to practice. So this type of volunteering kind of helped me practice that a bit from the comfort of my own home instead of in a huge conference room like I used to do before I changed my career path to where I am now.
Amazing. So when you changed your career path, can you talk me through the actual steps? Because I think often we say, you know, I did this and then it led to that. But I think people want to hear, what were those key moments that allowed you to be able to sort of pivot and take a whole new direction?
Yeah, it happened. It was kind of a funny situation in terms of like how I thought to even like leave my job in PR. I was originally working in fashion PR for like a year and a half after graduating college. So I was still kind of new to like the career space and like communications. And it was like a trip to Chicago where I met this cafe barista person who, I don't know how we struck a conversation, but he was basically talking about how before he was planning to go to law school the following year, he just moved to a different state, to Chicago, to just work at a coffee shop and like work on his music. And for some reason, that conversation kind of clicked in my head. Like, I kind of want to do my own version of that, kind of like take a break, do something that, you know, doesn't really require a lot of like mental capacity and just like give myself space and breathing room to think about where I want to see myself in the world and what kind of impact I want to make. Yeah. So I ended up deciding to leave the fashion PR job and dive into environmentalism, which was what I wanted to do in the first place. So because I needed to make money while volunteering, I worked at a zero waste shop, and that kind of gave me more time to do the digital volunteering in a virtual space. And that's how I ended up volunteering with PowerShift Network from the beginning. And I just stayed in touch with their team and their staff because I loved the work they were doing with young organizers who were making really big moves in the climate justice space. And yeah, that's how I ended up like being part of their staff now, almost a whole year later, which is really incredible how that kind of all fell into place for me.
Wow. I mean, what a big leap of faith. I mean, bravo to you. That's not easy to do. And also to then sort of have to go and work in a store when you've had this sort of amazing fashion PR job also says a lot about who you are as a person. So bravo. Can you tell me in terms of how you've changed as an individual? Now you have this new life.
I feel like I've changed in so many ways. Now I'm in spaces where I'm having conversations I've never really seen in rooms that I've been in. Like every single day we're talking about obviously climate justice, racial justice, disability justice at work. It's just like an everyday conversation because that's something we need to talk about every single day when your goal is to protect our planet, our environment. That also includes people's bodies, people's, homes, etc. Yeah, their livelihoods, and not only thinking of like the obvious things to save, like polar bears, etc., but also like Black and Indigenous people whose lands have been ripped apart from under them. Yeah. And yeah, those conversations just, they open my mind every single day. And even though I'm a woman of color, there's still so much that I'm learning from, my coworkers. And I'm lucky enough to work in a space where I'm working with people who are open about their own disabilities, like having autism or ADHD, and how those lived experiences play a role in their fight for climate justice. Yeah. So yeah, like doing digital volunteering has, opened me up to organizations that are having those important conversations and reminded me like, oh, I have space in this type of organization, and my words and my opinions matter and my skills matter in this space.
I love it. Very different to worrying about what celebrity is going to be in one of the dresses.
Yeah, pitching new shoe products, etc. Yeah, that was not for me. I know I wasn't going to.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's very different.
Yeah.
Well, Natalie, what a pleasure. So lovely chatting. Send my love to New York City. I look forward to visiting there soon at some point when we can all travel again.
Thanks so much, June.
Oh, my pleasure. Take care. Bye. So, okay, it's time now for the answer to our poll question. And so let's see what you all answered. So, 62% of you said time in terms of the biggest hurdle for volunteering, which we've heard quite a few times come up during the discussions today. That was A. B, money, 5% of you said that. C, insurance, 2% of you said that. And D, confidence, 29% of you said that. And I think that actually, if anything, for those of you that the confidence issue is a key factor, listening to Natalie's story, hopefully that will inspire you and motivate you that actually volunteering gives you more confidence. As you heard with Natalie, she now is a completely different person and has a completely different life. So, okay, we are now ready to welcome our next speaker. Before we do that, she's our final speaker. It's Alexandra Bowman. And she has been incredibly successful in her chosen field. Someone who does things differently and has the courage to stand up against a variety of issues. We're delighted to have her with us today, a woman who uses art to champion change within the community and delivers hardcore messages on climate change. Oh no, she's not scared to tell it like it is, and believes in activism with a small a. So before I welcome Alexandra to the screen, we have a small video on her too. Hey, hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Very, very good. So good to have you with us. I mean, well done for everything you're doing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And so I'd love to talk more about your art and how your visual storytelling has the ability to portray and encourage people into action. So what does activism, as you say, with a small a, mean to you?
So I think activism can take on a lot of different forms. Of course, when we think of activism, we mostly think about, protesting or campaigning, which is an amazing way to physically show up for a cause. But I do think that activism can also be a lot of emotional work as well. And I think that for me, my art is really at that intersection of physical and emotional work and labor. Of course, I have a lot of passion for the physical process of creating my art, but I also have a lot of passion for the inner work and the emotional work that it takes for me to decide how to visually communicate very difficult topics.
Brilliant. I love that. So you use your art as a way to make people feel. And I think that's so important because actually before people will act, they need to feel. So can you talk me through that process?
Yes. So, I mean, as an artist, I really understand the value of communicating through images. And I think that images can depict a world that may not even exist yet.
Yes.
And I also think illustration specifically can almost reach an audience that may not be as literate or educated on a specific subject, but it helps to, see something. There's really something to the phrase seeing is believing. When you see something, you recognize that it's real. You can visualize a solution for a problem a little bit better, especially as a visual person. I can understand that.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that. There's a wonderful piece of, there's a wonderful essay that Frederick Douglass, the abolitionist, wrote. And he talks about pictures and progress and the power of imagery. And for him, he felt that was the most powerful medium, even though he was one of the most celebrated orators of his day. He believed that imagery had the power to present an image of something that wasn't yet possible yet. It could show us where we could be as a human race, and particularly in the fight to end slavery. Imagery was such a core part of that. So
yes, I love that you mentioned that because I also know that Frederick Douglass was one of the most photographed people of that era.
Yeah,
he was. And he never smiled in his photographs because he didn't want people to look and say, "Oh, he's happy." He wasn't. He was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Totally. I mean, isn't that amazing? It's amazing.
Amazing. He's
amazing.
Amazing person. Yes.
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
Could talk all day about this.
Yeah.
So tell me about your experience as an artist and how it intersects with your activism. And is there ever a conflict?
Yes. So basically, I've always been an artist ever since I was a kid. And looking back on my sketchbooks as a young girl, I realized that I was kind of trying to navigate social issues before I really understood how deeply rooted some of these problems were.
Yeah.
I grew up in a biracial household. I have a Black and a white parent.
Wow.
And so race and civil rights and existing as a mixed race girl in America was just like a part of my life. And I never learned about activism in school or anything, but my father would gift me books by Angela Davis, and I would download speeches by Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale onto my iPod as a kid.
Who were all from the area that you were in. I mean,
yes.
How amazing that, you know, that history was right around you.
Definitely. So I really just saw activism as this, as marches, as protests, as loud, fiery speeches, but I never really saw activism as art until I got older. And I realized that much like my own identity as a mixed race woman,
yes,
I could take these two different things and create this hybrid that could be defined on my own terms.
Amazing. I love that. And actually creating something new and a better way of us to exist, isn't it? So
yes.
your own experience, you know, the love of your own parents shows you what happens when we pull down the walls that divide us. We get you, Alexandra. That's not a bad thing. So what would you say to the 15-year-old Alexandra and her figuring out her place in the world and the impact that she's going to have?
I would say to let go of insecurity and of course, like even now I'm still kind of navigating through my own identity, but I would tell her that, you know, it's okay. You don't have to fit into a box. You can choose what you want to do and just run with it if you have the passion. And I know she did. So I would tell her that.
Amazing. Well, Alexandra, what a pleasure. We are now going to do our Q&A. So if I'm right, I think I'm going to welcome everybody back and then start asking you all sort of the individual questions that have come through from our audience. So yeah, Alexandra, if you stay on and then if the rest of our speakers can come back, that would be great. We've got 15 minutes for a short Q&A. Okay, so first question is from Patricia Fogarty, and it's for you, Whitney. And she says, in light of the IPCC's 2021 climate report, time is of the essence. What can we do to lower warming of the planet?
That is one heck of a question. And I don't claim to be a climate scientist by any means, but I do know that as another person in the world that does care a lot about addressing the climate crisis and knowing the urgency that's needed, this is where I would go to our Patagonia Action Works page and see what organizations that are focused on climate, what help they need, and to really get behind them and support them with whatever job I could that fit my skills to meet their needs in order to know that my work is going towards something good and to helping address the climate crisis. POW is one of the incredible organizations on here that is doing just that. So check out to see if they have jobs. And if you don't find any that are specific to your skills, scroll through all of the other options that are there and continue to check back because jobs are posted daily to our website. So that's an easy way to get involved. Personally, in our family, we have decided to eat a lot less meat, specifically cutting out red meat. So that is another way personally that we are doing.
Whitney, I've been trying that, and I have to say, I haven't succeeded.
I feel your pain, June. I had a good turkey burger the other day, though. It was okay. It was okay.
But now I'm trying to do, weekday vegetarianism, where you just do plant-based Monday to Friday and then meat at the weekend. But the problem's been, Whitney, I've kind of got it the wrong way around. more days the other way, but we're working on it.
You know, you're trying. That's all that matters. We got to commit to at least trying.
Exactly. You know, it's all in effort, as they say. So next question is from Prince Sabahat Ali. And this one's for you, Lindsay. And Prince says, considering I am volunteering remotely, can I pick and choose my volunteering hours and say, I don't know, I only want to volunteer on weekends, etc.?
Yes, that's the best part about volunteering remotely, and a kind of a gift of the COVID era is everything has moved digital. And so we've transitioned almost all of our volunteer activities online because we're not doing really in-person stuff yet.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, so Natalie, this one's for you. From a few audience members, this one's come up a lot. A lot of our audience are students, and they're wondering if there are opportunities for people starting off in their careers and how they can take the first step towards volunteering.
Yeah, when I started the digital volunteering, I had just graduated college like a year before, so I still was kind of considered as like a newbie in terms of everything that was kind of available for me to apply to. So I think a good start is researching organizations that you look up to, and reaching out to somebody that works on staff to have like a very casual conversation about the work that they do and what they're looking for. And if you're naturally passionate about that organization, your skills will kind of build naturally. Like it won't seem as difficult, or it won't seem as frustrating to kind of build those skills or be like new to something. Yeah, so I would say reaching out to a specific person from an organization you look up to and kind of building those skills naturally alongside passion.
Brilliant. So Alexandra, this one is for you. What's the one story, person or thing that you've done that you're really proud of? What would that be?
So I really am proud of a lot of things that I have done. My work with Patagonia, of course, my work with nonprofits. I'm also a teacher in high school. But I would have to choose, I'm currently the art director of a magazine called Whetstone. And it's a publication that's at the intersection of food and culture. Ooh. And it basically explores the origins of what we eat and why we eat what we eat and how we eat. And it focuses a lot on like decolonization, reclaiming our food traditions. And I really think that speaks to, you know, reclaiming our own stories. And stories and power can be interchangeable. If you look at history, it's the people that have the power that are able to share their stories. Yeah. And I think that we're at an important time right now where we all have like the ability to tell our own stories, and Whetstone, I believe, leaves space for that reclamation.
I love that. And what is Whetstone on Instagram? What is the handle, if it is?
Yes, it's Whetstone Magazine, and you can subscribe to receive the magazine as like a publication or as a digital publication as well.
Okay, brilliant. And it's wet as in W-E-T.
Yes, like WHETSTONE.
Got you. Fantastic. Brilliant. Leah, I've got one for you, which is, how do we encourage others? And how do we get the message out in a way that makes it easy for people to say yes?
To volunteering.
Yes, to volunteering.
Okay. Yeah, I think what we're about to do right now is pretty nice. And I can't emphasize it because it's really like a good, fun learning experience. That. On the other hand, I think, you know, if you're really interested and want to start, it's probably not so much about like what you get out of it, but it's really like to do something for the good cause.
Yes, brilliant. I've got a follow-on question for you, Leo, from Charlotte, and she says, how many hours are you working on your skill-based projects in a week?
Oh, that's vastly different, because like Protect Our Winters, it's still like happening more in winters. So, and with COVID and me not working so much like for money now, I think that has gone up to like some weeks it's like 20 hours maybe, and other weeks it's nothing. So on average, I think it's half a day. But when I started like 3-4 years ago, it was more like 1-2 hours per week.
Right.
And so that's really flexible and super cool with Catch a Fire as well. Like if I'm thinking, oh, I'm bored, like right now I have a foot injury, so I'm a lot at home. So I can sign up, I can look, and I do more projects. And if I'm already like full schedule with a lot of work, then I just pass. And so that's really flexible.
Brilliant. Final question, and Whitney, this one's for you from Amber, and she says, is there a way to pitch ideas to NGOs that might be interested in your work ideas? And then if they like your idea, can you partner with them? So I'm thinking what she means is there a way to come up with an idea and then approach you to partner?
It's a great question, and a part of the process when you apply for a job through the ActionWorks website, Catch a Fire will help facilitate a call with that nonprofit. And so while you may be applying to a specific role, at that point, that would be a time where you're connected directly to the nonprofit, where you can start to exchange ideas. Another way to connect directly to nonprofits through ActionWorks is every nonprofit has their own profile page on Patagonia ActionWorks, and every profile has a link directly to that nonprofit's website. So that quite often will lead you to another way to connect directly to a nonprofit where you could start to form a relationship there that would be outside of trying to lend your skills to a specific job. So 2 ways that you can engage directly with nonprofits where you can start to exchange your ideas.
I love that. As we're about to close the panel discussion, Whitney, as the Patagonia representative, what is the thing that you want people to leave and take away from today's summit? What does success look like for you?
I mean, we need 5 more hours for that, June, but in a nutshell.
About 2 minutes. How about
yeah. Okay, 2 minutes. I'll do my best. We need to stop working solo and start working more together. And that looks like a lot of different things. But we can't do this alone. We can't combat the climate crisis alone. We can't save people and communities alone. There has to be a unity. There has to be strength in numbers. There has to be coming together as community. And so maybe a first step in doing that is going to ActionWorks and seeing what groups are there that are working to support in whatever issue feels relevant to you, and just trying it. Be Natalie and really try to test your confidence and see that your confidence will grow as you start to engage with these nonprofit organizations. Again, they're smaller organizations, so they need as much help as they can get, and quite often they're not looking for the experts in Excel or the expert legal, lawyer. They are looking for people right out of school. They are looking for people that are just figuring out what skills they have. So it's worth trying it at all different levels. And I think the more we can come together and help each other in community, the better off we'll be.
Brilliant. Well, all of you, thank you so much. It's been such a joy hearing your stories and your passion for creating change. So Whitney, thank you, of course, Alexandra, Lindsay, Leo, Natalie. I'm just so thrilled to have been able to have this conversation with you all. And I think what today will have done is to show people that actually the first step is all you need to focus on, is is really just making that first step. And even if you don't know what you're going to do or how you're going to volunteer, you just take that first step and say, I know I want to do something else and have more purpose to my life. And I think that what we've heard today and what's been so brilliantly demonstrated from the various stories, particularly from our actual volunteers, is that it adds so much richness to what you are already doing. And in the case of Natalie, it can actually help create a whole new career for you. Or in the case of Leo, it can make you reassess your priorities and think about what it is that you want to do. And if actually you want to just be focused on earning money, which obviously is a good thing, but at the same time you may also want to decide to give back after you've earned your money. So what we've seen today are so many different examples of people at different stages of their career and how volunteering has played such a key role in taking them to that next level in life. I know for myself, I've been lucky to volunteer throughout my life, but also I've had people volunteer on projects that I've been working on. And there's nothing like the camaraderie that's created from volunteering when everybody is so committed to a cause that they're willing to work on it for free. Only passion will drive you to do that. And I think that when we give back, as Leo said in his piece, you actually feel good. You feel good from giving back. And as we saw in the video when Whitney came on, when we were looking at the work that POW and the various other organizations do, and also the work that Patagonia's Action Works does, what we saw there was the idea of action being an answer to depression. Because I think we've been through such change and so many upheavals over the past 18 months that at some point all of us have felt a bit hopeless. All of us have felt, actually, is there anything that I can do to make this weird stage and phase that we're all going through disappear? And we've known that the answer has been no, we've all been helpless. And so being able to have a purpose, regardless of what's going on around you, just makes life that much more meaningful. And, you know, as we've heard, the amazing connections that you make along the way. And whether that be the case of Alexandra, who's using her art to express that, or Lindsay, who's actually coordinating all of these fantastic volunteers. Everybody has a role to play in this quest for change. So on that note, thank you all so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've so enjoyed all the conversations and really been so impressed by what I've seen today in terms of the great work that's being done. So to any of you that weren't sure about volunteering, I think you've seen more than enough to get you to act. So as I said, take that first step. And on that note, thank you very much, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day or evening, wherever you are in the world. And again, we take this moment to pay homage to the lands that we're in, but also the lands that we've come from. So thank you, everyone. Bye.